Hello.
Hi.
How are you, Queen?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I think I think it's a time of year that is hard for a lot of people. It's a wonderful time of year. I love it. It's my favorite time of year. Yet there is always that little bit that is hard, and it's a lot harder on other people, you know, than me. But um, but I think everybody has a little bit of it. So um, Queen and I thought this would be a good time for us to talk about um, grieve, grieve, grieving, and holidays, and how they do tend to kind of go together. Um, and it's a time of the year that we celebrate, and it's also a time of the year that is really hard on a lot of people. So we thought this would be a good discussion to have. So
Yeah, I think the holidays can be such a beautiful time, but also we tend to miss our loved ones even more because they're not here with us to enjoy this magical time of year. So we thought we would just discuss some of it. And I think everybody has dealt with grief, sadly, and everybody will deal with grief time and time again through their life. So one of the things for me, everybody laughs because I put my Christmas stuff up in August sometimes. And the reason for that is because of the loss of my mother. I've always loved Christmas, but my favorite holiday was actually Halloween. But after losing my mom, through the years, it seems like every year I want to put my stuff up sooner and sooner because my mom just loved Christmas. She loved everything about Christmas. She was the most giving person I, I had ever met until I met you, Jackie. But, you know, really, like she loved to give. She loved to give. And I think that's where I get it from because I love to give. I'm a giver. And yeah, so I
sure.
put my Christmas stuff up so early because it reminds me of my mother. They say that in time it gets easier, and we talked about this before. For me, it gets harder. And I think for a lot of people it does, that your loved one isn't here, they're missing out on so much. So I think that, the biggest thing is to be gentle on yourself. You don't have to act a specific way, or um you need to allow yourself to feel these emotions, and know that it's okay and you're not alone in feeling that way.
Right, right, right. And you had some ideas, right?
Yeah, so the 3 C's of holiday grief are: choose your actions. So you're allowed to feel the way you want to feel.
Mhm.
Communicate your choices with others. So if you're not feeling up to something, that maybe everybody else is, you just have to communicate and be honest with them. It's okay to not feel up to doing something, or it's okay to feel sad. And the last one is compromise. Find suitable compromises that are bearable for you. And
Right.
again, like I said, just be gentle with yourself. Some people cope better than others. And some too, I want to say, if it's a new death, that's obviously going to be way harder because you haven't learned to, deal with it as well as somebody who's lost a loved one 10 years ago. And through the years it may not get easier, but you do learn to deal with it better.
Right, right, right. No, I
So
would agree what you said about, um, getting easier. And I think you're right. Like, it doesn't get easier. To me, it doesn't get easier.
No.
But you do, because you have to, you know, that's the whole thing about with death is, I remember years ago, I had read somewhere that death is easier than divorce because, you know, if you are grieving a divorce, if that's, you know, you always feel that you can fix it. There's a part of you that just will always feel that way. That's what I had read. But in death, you know, there's no choice. You don't have a choice. You can't fix it. You can, doesn't matter what you do. You cannot change it. And it's very final. That's it. And I think a lot that goes along with that is, you know, you always, no matter what you've done, you're going to have regrets about it. You're going to have guilt. That's really hard always. You know, I wish I had done this. I wish I had done that. No matter who you are, that's something that just, you won't be able to change that.
No.
And so I think that, for me, something I started doing, many years ago, right after I lost my mom, I would write her a letter, you know, actually sit down and just write it out. And that actually would help me. And, you know, obviously, like, I talk to her still all the time. I mean, it's been 45 years for me, and I talk to her all the time, you know, try to say, or say, you know, what would you want me to do? What would my mom want me to do right now in this situation? Mm-hmm. Or, you know, and of course, in the holidays, what is one of the really big things, I think, is you want to, like, the food that your mom made, you want to have those foods, right? Those certain things that were traditional in your family, and you want to do those. You want to keep those up. I think you were pretty big about that.
Yes. Traditions are big for us. And I was going to actually say that I'm happy you brought that up, because I was going to say, you know, you can honor your loved one by continuing traditions, like making, mm-hmm. you know, foods that they made, or, you know, different traditions, or you can even make new traditions in their name. So I was going to bring that up. I'm happy you did. I think that's a huge thing, to carry on their name. You know, this is going to be my first Christmas since losing my aunt. And my aunt was my godmother, and she was like a second mother. She never had kids. So I called her every single day. If I didn't call her, she was calling me. And so I know that this, through the holidays, it's already started. It's going to be very hard on us. She was very involved in my kids' lives, even though she lived in another state. I mean, we kept in contact daily. So
right.
I know, you know, that it will be very hard for us. But the year before she passed away, the last Christmas, it's almost like she knew it was going to happen, because she always just sent us cards with money for Christmas. And that year she ordered us personalized Christmas ornaments from her. And she had never done that before. Yeah. So hanging those this year was really special.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yep. And then with my mom, you know, our thing was the butterfly. When we knew she was dying. So when she was dying, I had told her, you know, if you ever want to come see me, just bring me butterflies. I'll know you're around. And so that's the big thing for us. And so I do a butterfly tree in memory of my mom every year. And my mother-in-law, since my mother has passed, my mother-in-law buys me a butterfly ornament. It's a Hallmark collection every year for my mom's angel date. And for my mom's birthday, she buys me a little one. Hallmark has a little butterfly ornament. So now I obviously I have other ornaments, but they're all on my mom's tree. So it's a very meaningful thing that we do at our house.
And that's really nice. And I think it does bring tears. I know it does. And that's okay. We, like you said, we have to allow ourselves to do that.
Mhm.
But it also brings some happy, special, those are memories now that your kids are always going to have.
Yeah.
And that's what you want, is to be able to, I know at a certain point in my life, I had to watch myself and not try to, try to be, I don't know the right word, not be a Debbie Downer, right? Not try to make everything so sad, even though I was really sad, not everybody wants to sit around and just cry, you know? Um, and something, quite honestly, my daughter at a very young age said to me, and it was weird. Like, she said, Mom, I know that you want us to miss your mom, but we don't, and we can't. And she was like, I'm really sorry. And I know you do, and it hurts me for you, but we didn't know her,
Right.
and she has said to me, I feel like I do in so many ways because of all the stories and everything you've told me. But she's like, I don't miss her. And you want me to, but I can't. And that was weird because of course she's absolutely right.
Right.
But I was like, what? Like, it was kind of hard to hear, but actually very good to hear, because I did. It
Yeah.
was almost like I just wanted to just waller in my misery and everybody join me. Misery does love company. It does. And so I've had to be very careful about that. And again, I'm one of these people that, I used to, when my mom first died, like her birthday, her death date was all very, very, a big deal. And through the years, it really has, I'm not even kidding, that sometimes I feel bad, but there are times at the end of the day, all of a sudden I'll be like, oh wow, today was mom's birthday, like I will, because I actually sometimes don't know what day of the week it is. A lot of
Right.
times I don't know the date. So it's not like I ever, if I looked at the date, of course, I would be like, I know that's it. But it would just get around to where I'm like, oh my God, I didn't realize today was the 12th. But that's my favorite thing, any given Tuesday. See, this is me. I may not have a meltdown on, her birthday or Christmas, but any given Tuesday, I'm just going to get in the shower and bawl my head off. That's
Right.
what I do. I get in the shower, and so I can just ugly cry and carry on, and no one knows and no one sees it, whatever. And not that I don't have special moments, but when I do my whole wailing situation, it's always in the shower. But I think, to me, it has been really special to do certain things to recognize that person,
Mm-hmm.
and try. One thing we have to do that is hard to do, but we have to really try to realize that even though they have passed, we are still here, and we have to
Yeah.
keep living, right? And you got to try to live the best, right? Like every
Mm-hmm.
day is a gift, and we have to recognize that.
Yeah, I agree with that. And, you know, I have a story. So when I was, Kmart used to have a cafeteria. I don't know if you remember that, but Kmart
I
used to have
do.
a
I forgot.
cafeteria. So when I was young, for my mom's birthday, um, every year I would make her a card and I would tape pennies and whatever change I had in my piggy bank. I would tape it in the card and I would tell her I was going to take her to Kmart. Our thing was we would have a piece of lemon meringue pie that we shared, and she would get a tea, a hot tea, and I would get like a Coke or something. And I thought that I was buying her this every year. Obviously, I wasn't. It was probably 20 cents, if that, in her card. But I thought I was taking her out every year. And I did this every year when I was a little girl. And her and I
Oh, I
would go
love
and
that.
we'd go to Kmart and we'd sit down, we'd get our pie. And so after my mom passed away, on her angel date every year, I would have lemon meringue pie and tea in memory of her. But now I can't eat pie, so I can't do it anymore. But that was my thing for her.
Oh,
And I just love that. You know, she loved apple pie. So I don't know why I picked lemon meringue. I guess I liked it better, and she just ate it with me. We would just share the lemon meringue. But yeah, so after she died, for many years, I would get a lemon meringue pie. And my sister, actually, when I first moved out here, it's so funny. Her thing was apple pie. My mom loved apple pie. So I sent my sister an apple pie and had it delivered to her. And she had a pie sent to me and had it delivered to me the same year.
oh my God.
Isn't that
Oh,
so
wow.
funny? Yeah. But yeah. So, it's remembering little things, like that's just a silly story
Yes.
to some people, but to me, I just love it. And when my mom passed away, my dad actually gave me a box with stuff that my mom had that was mine. And in that box, I actually have them here in a box now, are the cards with the pennies and stuff taped to it. I have them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. See, yeah, that is
Yeah.
so neat.
Yeah.
I
So
didn't even know that.
I know. So that's the thing, though, is, just remembering little stuff like that, and, maybe carrying it on. Maybe if it makes you feel better to have that pie, or, whatever it was that, or, you can make new traditions in your loved one's memory. But I
Well,
say,
and right.
I
Right.
was going to say, surround yourself with, don't just sit home and cry. And, there's time for that. There's time for that. But your loved one would want you to continue living. And in order to live, you don't need to just be home crying and upset all the time. You need to live your life.
Right. You're right. And that's so true that and I do think about that as far my mother loved Christmas too. And um she would just be so giddy about, our gifts, what she had done for us. And I know you and I have talked about this, my mom went through a lot. And that
Mhm.
is something you and I have talked about that is hard for us, um that our mothers went through some very painful things. And so I tell myself, whatever she went through, she was very, very, you didn't know it. You really
Right.
didn't. You didn't know that. And, not until even, becoming an adult and even thinking back, like, wow, that had to have been so hard for her.
Right.
And I didn't know it at the time. And so I have to take that example too of, what, whatever what she showed, I got to do that too, even though, she's not here.
I agree. I agree. And I'm
And
not,
and think
sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was just going to say, and I'm not saying, don't be upset, don't cry, don't be sad,
No,
of
no.
course, but also live your life and make, memories, especially if you have your own children or grandchildren, make those memories for them.
Right. And every once in a while, every few years, I think it just happens, um, because of course, um, for me, it's been my entire life has been missing my mom. I
Yeah.
lost her when I was so young. And so that has just been part of my life. And feeling sorry for myself a lot of times. One thing I did see is when I saw not everybody has great parents, they don't, and when I used to say, how come I can't have a mom? This is so messed up. Everybody, I would find myself being ugly whenever people were like, oh my gosh, my mom's doing this and me and my mom do that, and I would be like, that is so unfair,
Mm-hmm.
that I don't have that. And then you see situations and you're like, oh my gosh, what I did have when I had a mom, I had the best mom. And there was no question how much she loved me. There was
Right.
none. So, it just is what it is. It's hard to not feel sorry for yourself. And you try to make, because my life has been about not having her, but then again, then I've lost my dad, and every once in a while somebody just gives you this gift, it seems like. And about, oh my gosh, about 5-6 years ago, my cousin gave me this picture of my dad that I had never even seen before for Christmas. Things like that really.
Yes.
And I just cherish that because I'm like, oh my gosh, because obviously I have the same things with my dad. And, obviously the last few years have been extra hard.
It's okay. That's why we're doing this.
Losing a child is a whole nother thing. Wow. I honestly didn't even think I was going to do that. And so we do try to, we try to talk more about him at that time. And it is hard. It's hard for the kids. It's hard for us.
Right.
Because that's something you never think you're going to do.
No, I was just going to say that. That's something that you're not supposed to bury your child.
No.
Yeah, my mother-in-law lost her only daughter when she was just a little girl to leukemia. And I remember getting a card in the beginning of dating my husband, and she signed her cards with her daughter's name. And I didn't understand it until I really got to know them and, talk to her more. And yeah, they kept her name alive, and I know his aunt buys my mother-in-law an angel ornament every year. She has since Pammy passed away, and she has her own little tree with all the angels on it. Yeah, I don't even have the words because I don't know, how you're feeling, but I can't imagine the pain of that.
That's what I didn't know that about her saying that, but I always say we have 5 kids.
Yeah.
I can't, right. I could never say we have 4 kids because that's not that's not right. That's like you were saying, she would sign her name. I definitely just cannot ever. I always say we have 5 kids.
Yeah. And the way that, they've talked about her through the years, I always say, I know her and I would have been best friends because she did pass away at a young age, but she almost was an old soul at such a young age. A little caretaker to her brothers.
Oh,
mm-hmm.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
See, yeah, there are things, and that, like you said earlier, okay, that's something, not putting it mildly, but everybody is dealing with a grief. Everybody is. I don't mean that in a way of like, everybody's grief is their own grief.
Right.
And it is, I am not diminishing it at all. But it is a time that we should be more careful with our words and more, try to understand that this is a hard time for everybody.
Yeah,
As
be
as
patient.
beautiful as it is a hard time.
It truly is. And just give them grace, be patient. I did want to share another loss, but my father-in-law, passed away a few years
Right.
ago. And what we do for him every Christmas morning, I put a chair in the living room, and he loved Grumpy, Grumpy from the Seven Dwarfs. He loved
Yeah.
Grumpy. And so he had a lot of Grumpy shirts, and she had all her sons and the grandsons go through them after he passed. So I put his Grumpy shirt on the chair, and then he liked vodka, but he liked a nasty, cheap, like vodka. So we have the bottle left with whatever was left in there. We have it. So I always put it on his chair, and then we have that sitting with us in the living room on Christmas Day, kind of like
Oh,
he's there,
right, right.
So yeah, there's, certain things. Some people might think it's weird, but it's just,
Right.
certain things that we do for ourselves.
No, you do. And recognizing them, I think, is great. Like ornaments, I think, are a great thing. That's something
Mhm.
we've done with Danny for sure. And yeah, and talking about it. And it always is hard whenever you're wrapping and all that stuff. And there's that one that's not. Um,
Yeah.
and it's okay to talk about and have the memories and the because that's what you have. That is what you have.
Yes.
That's all you have now. And so, talking about those, remembering those things and honoring them, honoring the people, um, they're forever in your heart. That's not changing. And,
Mm.
we just have to try to not let it bring us completely down
I agree.
because I think a lot of, I do know people that just can't they just don't get through it. They really don't. And it's not a put down. I just, I think we have to pay special attention to the fact that we are still alive and we're very fortunate to be alive. And all the memories that we have of people, we want people to have those memories of us now.
Yes.
When
Yes.
we're gone, not be that person that it's like nervous, you know. I don't know. I don't know. It's hard. It's a hard one. It's just really, it's just hard. It's
Yeah,
just
it
hard.
definitely is. And like I said, everybody, grieves in their own way, in their own time, but none of us are promised tomorrow,
No.
so we all need to live each day like it's our last. And like I was sharing these different things that we do for lost loved ones and to keep their memory alive. And that's what your kids, your grandkids, people that
Yep.
love you around you, that's all they're going to have is memories. So it's best to, make the best of it. And then in your own time, of course, you can grieve, but give yourself some grace and try and
Right.
just enjoy, this spectacular time of year, even if it
And
is
don't
hard.
feel guilty. Don't feel guilty
No.
about enjoying it. That's because that's hard. You
Yes.
think, who am I to have fun? Who am I to be happy? No, you have to not feel guilty about that. Because allow yourself all of it. The grief, the memories, the happiness, and yeah, tell the stories and have special moments.
Yes.
Try. Oh, there's no better gift. Now, we've talked very much about our bags and whatnot, but you know what? A special homemade gift is something that is cherished forever.
Forever.
Those are really nice. I think for me, those are the ones that are special.
Mhm.
And yeah, I hang on to my bags, but not like I do some of those
Right.
ones.
No.
And you know, and you remember that last gift that you did get, right? And that's very special. So think about that, you know, whenever you're giving and stuff, because we don't know when it's our last.
Right.
We don't know. And
Yeah.
not to be morbid.
No, life is too short. That's the truth. That's the truth. And none of us are promised tomorrow. And so I think that is a good thing.
No, we don't know when it's going to be our last Christmas with them. And or just any day, you know, any given Tuesday. We don't know. We don't know.
We don't. Okay. Well, do you have anything else, friend?
I just would like to say that I would like to, you know, I'll a special wish for everybody for the holiday season is to, you know, to be happy, and that's my wish to everybody. To whatever you're struggling with, you know, that you can get through that and enjoy the holiday season. That's
Yeah, and I wanted to say too, if you have, you know, a tradition that you've carried on through the family, or you know, a memory you want to share with us, put it in the comments, or like always, you can email us. It's our emails in the description of all of our videos, and we'll share it.
Yeah, any pictures, anything fun, we love that.
Yeah.
We actually got a couple, we didn't talk about this, but I mean, you and I did, but we got a couple of pictures of people in costumes that we posted.
Yeah.
As well as pictures of us in costumes. And that was really fun. I really appreciate that. Right? Wasn't that fun?
Yes. Yes. So
I
if
love
you
that.
have anything you want to share with us, we would love to see it. And yeah. Have a blessed day, and don't be too hard on yourself.
Right. Give yourself grace. Love yourself.
Absolutely.
Love yourself. And try to have a happy holiday season.
Amen to that. All right. We'll see you on the next one.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.